Welcome back to Money Makes. My name is Callie, and tonight I am going to take you along with me while I make dinner, and I am going to be making a big pot of my hearty and comforting and healthy vegetable soup. So everyone I know is getting sick right now. It is in the single-digit temperatures where I live, and there is no better time to make this soup than now. Like I said, it's hearty, it's delicious, it's so easy to make, and you are going to love it. So let's get right into it, but before we begin, as always, please remember to subscribe, like, share, chat in the comment section, and follow me on social media for more recipes and additional content. So let's get right into it. These are the ingredients that we are going to be using. I have some carrots, celery, onion. The celery is buried beneath all of this. I have a bunch of garlic, minced garlic. I have some extra virgin olive oil, some cannellini beans, any kind of white bean will do. I have a Parmesan rind. So next time you buy a block of Parmesan, keep that kind of woody end that it has. That is called the rind, and these save in the freezer for months, and you could throw them in stews, soups, and they add a lot of delicious flavor, so don't waste them. If you have a new Parmesan block, you can just cut it off and use it in this recipe. If you don't have it, don't worry. You don't have to add it, but it does add a lot of flavor. You could just add in some Parmesan cheese, or if you want to keep this completely dairy-free, don't add it at all. So you have options. And I also have some cauliflower, a potato. I have some green beans that I cut the ends off that I just cut in half to make them a little bit smaller. I have a bunch of kale. I have them removed from the stems, some lemon. I also have some spices. So here I have some dried oregano, some turmeric. I have a little bit of sumac. I also have a little bit of Aleppo pepper. If you don't have Aleppo pepper, you could substitute red pepper flakes. They have a very similar flavor. They're both gonna add spice to this recipe. Like I said in other videos, the Aleppo is slightly milder. It has some kind of fruity, citrusy undertones that I just enjoy, so that's what I'm using. But again, if you don't want it spicy, omit it, whatever you'd like to do. And the sumac, if you don't have it, you don't have to add it in. What it provides is a little bit of citrus. It has a really nice kind of pleasant, mild flavor. So I also have some tomato sauce. Any kind of tomato product will do. I just prefer kind of like a thinner, saucy tomato sauce, but if you have whole peeled tomatoes in a can, you could just kind of crush them up with your hands. Whatever you have. This is, there's a lot of kind of leeway in this recipe. I have some chicken broth, salt, pepper, and that's it. So let's do this. I'm gonna turn my heat on to medium, and I'm gonna add the olive oil at this point. There we go. This has already been heating up a little bit. And so I'm gonna add in now my carrots, celery, onions, and garlic. And I'm gonna cook this for a few minutes. I want this to really cook down, maybe like 10 minutes or so. And I forgot my spoon, so I'm gonna grab that. And once this cooks down, I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll move on. Okay, so you don't wanna forget to add a good pinch of salt and pepper to these ingredients. I always cook with kosher salt, but any salt will do. So salt is in, along with a bunch of black peppers. So I think that it's very important that you season every layer of the dish. So we're gonna season these ingredients, and then later we'll season the broth, we'll season these vegetables. You just kind of gotta season in stages. So again, I'm gonna let this cook, and then we'll continue. Okay, we're back. As you can see, these ingredients have really cooked down quite a bit. So I'm gonna go in with my potato, cauliflower, and green beans. And you could really use any vegetables you like in this recipe. If you don't wanna use green beans, you could throw in asparagus, you could use broccoli, whatever you have really does work. So I'm gonna hit this with some more salt and pepper. We're seasoning in stages, like I said earlier. So pepper going in. I'm just gonna give this a really quick toss to kind of let these ingredients mingle with the onions and the garlic. And this will just take a quick second. Okay, that is good enough at this point. And so now I'm gonna throw in the tomato sauce. Voila, along with the chicken broth. So I'm using the chicken bouillon cubes, but you could use just plain like liquid chicken broth, whatever you have. This was just on sale at the grocery store, and that's how I cook in my videos. I go for what's cheap, what's good. And so I'm gonna give this I'm gonna add some more water, but I just couldn't fit all the water out here now. It didn't have a container big enough. So I'm gonna throw in my Parmesan rind along with the beans. Here we go. I'm also gonna toss in my spices at this point, my turmeric, sumac, my dried rosemary, and my Aleppo pepper. And I'm gonna turn the heat up to high heat. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, we will continue. Okay, we're back. As you can see, it is boiling. So I'm gonna throw in the kale at this point. So I'm gonna toss in the kale. I'm gonna turn the heat down to medium, and I'm gonna partially cover this pot with a lid, and I'm gonna let this simmer for about 45 minutes or so. After that, I will show you what it looks like, but here I'm just going to submerge the kale. If at any point you find that, you know, the soup needs a little bit more liquid, feel free to add more water or chicken broth. You know, as far as how thick this soup is totally up to your preference. If you want it more kind of like a stew and quite thick, you know, leave it as is. If you want it more liquidy or thinner, add a little bit more liquid. It's that simple. So, like I said, I'm gonna turn the heat down to medium, partially cover this with a lid, and let it simmer for 45 minutes. Okay, we're back. It has been 45 minutes, and as you can see here, the soup has thickened up quite considerably. All the vegetables have really cooked down. It smells amazing. So just to finish this off, I'm gonna hit this with some parsley. If you don't have fresh parsley, you could of course just use dried parsley. I'm gonna add in some lemon. You could add as much lemon as you like. Taste it. If you want to add a full lemon, add the full lemon. It's entirely up to you and your taste and preferences. So I'm gonna give this a stir, and at this point you also want to taste for seasoning. If you want to make it a little spicier, add some more Aleppo. If you feel like it needs a little bit more flavor, add in some salt, pepper, whatever. Just again, give it a taste. And you know, keep in mind, I didn't add salt. I don't think it needs any. I already tasted mine because my chicken broth is quite salty. So keep that in mind. Some chicken broth brands can be quite salty. So I always recommend buying a low sodium one if you can get your hands on it. So next up, I'm gonna give you a close up of just how amazing and delicious this vegetable soup really is. Okay, we're back, and this soup wouldn't be complete, in my opinion, without some cheese. I served a little bit of Pecorino Romano cheese over the top. You could also use Parmesan cheese, and I'm gonna be serving this with some baguette or any kind of crusty, fresh Italian bread. Will do the trick. It's absolutely incredible, and I know you are gonna love it. So, as always, for the full written recipe and instructions, head to my blog, MoniMakesRecipes.com. I'll put the link for that in the description box below. Click on the link, the recipe will come right up, and make this vegetable soup. I promise you're gonna love it, and let me know what you think because I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.